Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Yes, it is this time again for this month's broadcast of Chicago Junction, the program that takes you through the wonderful world of trains with the help of our panel of experts. If we're lucky, we might even get a call-in guest or two. I'm your announcer, Brian Ballou, and here is our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, and Chief Electrical Engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, October the 13th, the year 2021. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now, to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Oh, thank you, John. And now it's time to meet the panel. As he said, my name is Brian Ballou. I am a rail fan, belong to several museums. I also preach the joys of Operation Lifesaver, trying to save lives, prevent accidents. And I play with O-gauge trains, I play with HO trains, I play with big trains.
How big?
So big.
You ever seen the movie Dave, where the guy playing the president's got the robot arms?
And it was
this big.
And to my left, I have Dave DeRusca.
Dave DeRusca. I am the Vice President of the Black Hawk Chapter of the National Railway Historical Society. And my big project there is Chicago Railroad History Month, and it's October. Welcome to Chicago Railroad History Month. We have a proclamation from the Mayor of Chicago stating such. I am also run our Facebook page and, amongst other things, railroad, and I am a retired locomotive engineer. My last job was with Metra.
Well, somebody has to work for them.
Well, they're going to be getting a lot more soon. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Kevin Berry. I'm a retired Chicago police sergeant. I'm a director with the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club, lifetime Lionel collector and operator, and
a smooth operator.
Not if you talk to my wife. I can't seem to get anything past that woman. And I also am a merit badge counselor for the railroading merit badge for the Scouts BSA.
Which have ladies.
Yes, that is the name for the program since they started accepting girls a few years back.
The Babe Scouts of America?
No, behave yourself. You may still be walking home tonight.
Unfortunately, I think we need to... we are going to get serious.
Note the passing of one of our members here.
Yes. He was one of our newest members on the panel, but he was a welcomed addition.
He was a true smooth operator. He had the gentle, learned voice of a man who read much and understood much.
And always said, shh. He was your local librarian.
Yeah, right. Ron Stotch.
Ron Stotch. He did bring another aspect to it. He made us all aware of Menards.
Yeah.
He bought in more little things from Menards in the beginning. And we were all oohing and on him.
He came on board just about the time Menards got serious and started making buildings, more than just rolling stock. And we'll talk about Menards' newest edition a little bit later. Ron was a unique gentleman. He didn't keep his occupation of being a library director keep him from having fun being an adult railroader.
Yes.
I guess it is true that it is never too late to have a happy childhood.
That's a good way to put it.
Or in my case, never stop being a child.
You can, well, in your case, it's you can make me grow old, but you can't make me grow up.
There you go.
Spend 45 minutes driving in a car with them and see how much you like it.
Hey, come on. I'm your favorite audience. What do you mean?
Well, my wife took my voodoo doll away, so I got to stick pins someplace.
No, but Ron will be missed.
Yeah, he was one of our model railroad guys.
Yeah.
We lose one more member of this panel, and they'll have as many people on the angelic version of this show as the real life version of the show. You know, now he can keep Jack Ryan company. I'd like to see him try to tell Jack Ryan to shush.
Once he gets that big layout up there.
Yeah, heard that.
But he will be missed, and as we did with Mr. Ryan, we have the appropriate song to play.
This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, don't care nothing about the rights and the holy. This train is bound for glory, this train.
Don't you get up and start clogging.
Hey, the guys in New Orleans do it right.
I'm walking down the track, trying to read a letter from my home. If the train runs right, I'll be home
Tomorrow night, I'm 900 miles from my home.
and I
Hate to hear the lonesome whistle blow.
I had an older brother, Ben, he was one of them rambling men, and he said one night to me, come on and ride the rails with me. 'Cause there ain't no prettier sight than a freight train rolling at night. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. Hear that whistle blow. Hear that whistle blow. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack, the wheels are saying to the railroad tracks. If you go, you can't come back. If you go, you can't come back. If you go, you can't come back. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, and the wind right holy. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory,
don't care nothing but righteous and holy. The train is bound for glory, this train.
They ain't gonna let me on.
This train.
this train.
This one of those 200-car trains.
No, this was the day when they ran regular passenger train or freight trains.
Those cars are not empty.
No, not all of them. There it is.
There it is.
And we got company.
Oh, my goodness.
Come on in, sir. If you'd like this chair, I'll shift around the corner. Okay.
I'm closer to stealing your magazines to look at them.
Okay.
Well, where's the card?
It's
Are we back?
Yes, we are back.
That train running by reminded me of a video that I saw on YouTube where this public official was having some sort of press conference on a train platform for safety, and he was standing on the beyond the yellow stripe, and Amtrak train comes plowing up behind him, almost knocked him off the platform.
Oh,
I'm thinking, I'm sure he didn't get permission to go up there and do that to begin with, and dumb.
no, it's like one of the posters I have for Operation Lifesaver. This isn't funny. And this has the pictures that have been taken with people on the tracks.
Yeah.
And one was a cover from a Bob Seger record.
Oh, yeah.
There is a video link. Well, not a video link. It's a video clip. And it's trains and snow, and some reporter from a minor affiliate is standing on the platform and jabbering about how much snow they had received. And it's like an SD-60 comes flying through, and all you see is a 10-foot wall of snow being blown up off the tracks and hits this reporter right in the back and just dances her 5 or 6 feet out of frame.
The snow tsunami.
It's wonderful as long as that wall of snow hits somebody other than you.
That is true.
It's like when you were a kid and you were waiting for the CTA bus and the plow came by and you were soaked from the knees down.
But anyway, you want to start off with
Yeah,
news?
yeah.
Oh, by the way, Ron, please say hello.
Good afternoon. I made it.
And didn't even break a sweat.
And you think it's afternoon.
He is correct in that. It's well afternoon.
Yeah, right. Okay, the U.S. Army rail transportation system is a wreck, according to a recent U.S. government report. The Army depends on railroads to move personnel and equipment, especially heavy vehicles like tanks. But the tracks connecting Army installations are in poor repair, and the Army lacks sufficient railroad crews to transport units to ports for deployment overseas during a crisis. This is a rather lengthy article that talks about the problems that they're having. As far as crews, in 2015, the Army slashed its railroad personnel by 70% in favor of relying on commercial rail carriers in the U.S. and railroads operated by foreign governments when American troops operate overseas. The Army's rail units shrunk from 4 battalions to just 1 battalion, which was the 757 Expeditionary Rail Center. The 757 told the government accounting office that the unit would likely be unable to meet simultaneous overseas and CONUS missions during a large-scale combat operation, but that they saw no other solution to the lack of sufficient trained rail operating crews. The Army doesn't even know how many rail crews it needs to transport units in the event of a mobilization. And it goes on to say that they don't have enough rail cars to move the equipment. Let's see what else there. It goes on about the history of rails and the military and how it did change battlefield operations from just really going only so many miles to being able to travel larger distances, especially with supplies. And they mentioned that the lack of rail capacity was probably the biggest reason for the failure of Operation Barbarossa, the Nazi invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. 21st century America, crisscrossed by highways and whose population worships the automobile, the appeal of railroads has faded. But when it comes to moving tanks across a continent-sized nation like the United States, railroads are still the best option. And no solutions are given,
Okay, the abbreviation CONUS,
Yes.
that pronounced CONUS, it's a contraction of Continental United States.
Yes.
I learned something. Thank you.
And as far as the German invasion, Operation Barbarossa, the Germans seem to forget that Russian track is set to imperial gauge,
Right.
and it was intentionally done that way. Yeah, 5 foot 0 inches as opposed to 4 foot 8.5. Obviously, imperial Russian Roman chariots have a wider stance than traditional Roman war chariots.
But the Russians did it so that people couldn't move rail cars into their country.
Yeah. Well, that was a problem, or that system still existed until very recently, because they used to have to switch the coaches from the Orient Express from one set of tracks with standard rail gauge to the adjoining set of tracks that had trucks that were set up for imperial gauge. I found it very fascinating to watch how it's done. They actually sling them.
Actually, they did that in Australia. Believe it or not, they had different gauges also. They had 42-inch gauge.
Nothing about
West.
Australia surprises me.
If you looked at some of them animals, let me tell you, you'd be surprised.
Nothing about Australia surprises me, considering that most of the population of Australia are descendants of Irish prisoners.
Not just Irish. They had a bunch.
Sent off to Bad Demons Land.
Bandy men's land.
If you get a chance, look up the word bogan. That describes like low-life Australians. And especially if you go to images and look at bogan images. These people really, they're the dregs of the earth. Truly.
We are talking about the different gauges. Illinois Railway Museum got a Toronto streetcar, perfect condition. It's on a track maybe about, maybe 25 feet long, maybe a little longer. So it can go back and forth, about maybe a full car length, if not more. But that's all it can do. It can go back and forth because Toronto uses a different gauge than the United States. So while they move the car back and forth a few feet every month or so, it's still going to suffer from sit-itis because it's going to take too much money and too much time to put trucks underneath it so it could operate on the railroad.
Well, see, that's just it. Get a pair of trucks.
Why would they get a piece of equipment like that? Were they that hot to save something from Toronto?
I have no idea what the cost was involved in getting it, but
cheap.
They got a deal on it apparently, and there it is.
Well, it's the same way in Philadelphia. They actually made a different gauge for the trolleys, so this way they couldn't run freight cars through the streets.
That was a reason for Toronto too. Same thing.
Sounds like politics to me.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin put a big law into effect so that the box cars and everything couldn't go past Harrison Yards. In other words, down the streets of Milwaukee.
Yeah, right.
They only go as far as Harrison Yard, which was private right-of-way. That was it.
Well, next on the agenda here, we've discovered how to unclog America's problem. Robot trains.
Oy.
Self-driving trains could be greener, carry more stuff, and help unclog America's congested supply chains. And making them a reality will likely be far easier than perfecting autonomous vehicles. Now, I think this is a Wall Street Journal article, and I read the whole thing, and when I tried to print it out today, I hit the paywall, so it wouldn't let me do anything. But this guy basically, he talks about, they have autonomous trains here and there, and they're all on private right-of-ways, or in Australia, where it's basically an ore train that just goes, has a robot, they operate it from a control center. And but don't worry, because they're not going to have to build new right-of-ways for these robot trains. They're going to be able to operate on regular tracks, go anywhere, because of positive train control. Positive train control is going to make sure that they don't run into anything. I just saw an article today where they had a Canadian Pacific train where the positive train control farted out on them, and the various dispatchers gave them permission to proceed, and they end up rear-ending a UP train. So, yeah, and I've seen a lot of stuff online recently. They're beating the drum for autonomous trains. The railroad industry, well, first of all, they want to get rid of the conductors. That's their big thing, and they've gotten permission to do that from the government, saying that there's no reason why there shouldn't just be one man in the locomotive to operate the trains. And they're
how long you can leave the engineer up there?
Well, yeah, they're like, commuter trains only have one person up in the cab. Well, they're not really. They're ignoring the fact, there's a conductor and a trainman on that train, and that it goes a very short distance, and it's so much different than freight. So they want to get rid of the conductor. They're working on that, and that's why a lot of these states are trying to pass two-man crew laws. Make sure that the unions are advocating for two-man crews on the trains.
I mean,
once they get down to one engineer, it's only a matter of time before they say, well, we really don't need that guy up there either, because we got a guy sitting in a control center somewhere, with a joystick operating trains.
Well, they're thinking of like drones. they've got people sitting in the Air Force bases in these locked rooms, watching TV,
Yep.
and flying their remote control airplane.
Hey, look at that. We'll bomb
Was that a really carefully worded pun? Drones don't think whether they're vehicles or insects.
Or people. So yeah, this. I'm assuming that eventually somebody's going to try to. You've got all these railroad supply companies wanting to give autonomous operations for railroad trains, and hey, don't worry about it.
But don't we already have that at the airports? Something similar.
Yeah, but they're all in confined systems. They're,
Right.
They're not operating over road crossings. They're not operating through towns.
So I'm sure they're going to have to take into consideration, are they going to have crossings? Are they going to have, things like that?
According to this article, it shouldn't be any problem.
Hmm.
It's just they've got PTC on these trains and cameras. And, somebody who's sitting in a room is going to blow the whistle at these people.
Here you go, PTC. We don't know anybody in the cab.
Yeah, right. Well, all right. Let's see, some Metro news here. Construction is underway to replace and upgrade the Grayland Metro station and the 122-year-old railroad bridge over Milwaukee Avenue. That's construction is expected to be finished by the spring of 2024. The bridge was originally built in 1899, and the improvements were announced last year. Now, the next item. The Union Pacific gets the green light to cut services on 3 busy Chicago commuter rail lines. And this is from September 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
A Thursday ruling from the Northern Illinois District Court affirmed Union Pacific Railroad's assertion that it is under no obligation to provide commuter service on 3 of Chicagoland's busiest rail lines. Now, the UP and Metro have been tussling in court about whether the Union Pacific has an obligation as a common carrier to provide the service. Now, Metro, of course, pays the Union Pacific to operate the trains, and it pays for the crews. And the Union Pacific basically wants to get out of the commuter business. And Metro has said they are committed in keeping those 3 rail lines operational for riders. The UP said it will still maintain the physical tracks and provide rail dispatch. Its employees would no longer operate the rail cars or collect tickets. 1995 was the year Congress passed the Interstate Commerce Commission Termination Act, a bill officially abolishing the Interstate Commerce Commission, which regulated the railroad industry. So this is all coming to a head. I'm assuming that the UP would like to get out of the commuter business as quickly as possible. And the only option I see for Metro at this point is contracting with a company like Keolis to come in and actually operate that service for them. I'm sure that there would be a number of Union Pacific employees that would happily go to work for Keolis, because Uncle Pete is not one of the happier places to work these days.
Oh, yes, everybody for the fear.
So,
and it's going to keep spreading for a while.
My last item here is the civic and environmental groups call on Metro to get going on zero emissions fleet. So, in other words, they think that Metro should start buying locomotives that don't spew particulate waste like diesels, and they think that Metro has all the money in the world to just go ahead and get rid of all the diesel. And I kind of agree with them in terms of the diesel are a leading contributor to poor air quality and rising carbon emissions. And being that I live a couple 100 feet away from a Metro track, I can tell you about all the soot that we've got on our windowsills, even with the windows and doors closed. They said that they're talking about the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority in Southern California will be the first transit agency to provide zero-emission passenger rail in 2024 when they roll out a singular hydrogen-powered train. So perhaps it wouldn't be so bad for Chicago to live up to our nickname by being the second city to roll out zero-emissions passenger rail.
Oh, you mean like the University Park line?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, at some point there have been calls
Maybe
to electrify all of Metro.
I mean, I grew up in that type of environment.
Yeah.
Well, the Pensy 4-track main line from New York to Philadelphia is all electrified.
Yeah. But there's no money for any of this stuff. Unfortunately, it's nice to say, hey, we should get on this, and it would be a great idea, and it would be good for the environment. But nobody talks about where the money's going to come from. I don't see it coming from the current administration. I don't see it coming from any other political entity.
Because
in this
they
country.
can't even pass the bill that was made 8 months ago.
Right. Yeah, well, we're beset with political issues in this country. We've got, this, that, and the other thing. And I won't get on a soapbox or anything, but
the thing is, they bragged about setting up that tremendous billion, and
well, it ain't
and
gonna
then
happen.
all of a sudden, for the last 3 months, they've been going, well, if you give me this, I'll do this for you.
Yeah, horse trading. My line, I tell people, the Democratic Party is great at shooting themselves in the foot. They talk a good talk, but when it comes down to brass tacks, they just argue about everything.
Well, it's the same. Well, the railroads are shooting themselves in the foot.
Well, yeah.
Well, no. Here's an example. Norfolk Southern. We'll talk somebody else, okay?
Yeah, I'm done anyway. So
Yeah. We're through with UP for a little bit, but discussing the problems on all the major railroads that love this precision scheduling.
Yeah, right. PSR.
Okay, precision scheduled railroading continues to deteriorate on local service on the Norfolk Southern in Allentown and Reading areas. After cutting crews to the bone, chronic crew shortages at the Allentown terminal have forced NS to cancel local jobs, to much of the customers' chagrin. At Reading, NS revoked Reading and Northern's ability to pick up its daily interchange from NS's Ole Red Reading yard, offering to deliver it to Reading's North Reading yard instead. You don't even have to ask how that turned out. Citing chronic crew shortages, NS regularly fails to deliver interchange traffic to RNN, which in turn has caused Regional Railroad to cancel runs on its Reading to Princeton fast freight service on several occasions. NS service deterioration continues to adversely affect its interchange partners and its customers.
Well, the railroads are essentially telling the smaller customers, switch to trucks. I mean, they don't want the business. They just assume that the truckers pick up the business. All they want is commodities, coal, oil, and intermodal.
But
they don't want local work.
But wouldn't it help if they hired a few crews back?
The bean counters run the railroads now. There are no railroaders left in railroading. That's all accountants and business school graduates.
All the good regionals that were making money are being run by railroaders.
Yeah. So the railroads are in this country are
a joke.
In a sad shape. Now the CP and the Kansas City Southern finally got approval for their merger, and that supposedly is going to be wonderful competition out there, and let's see if they live up to the hype, or if they're just going to be another PSR railroad that kicks customers to the curb.
CP has announced that they're going to have in effect, victory lap tour with the Empress.
The Empress.
It's a 464 steamer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's the Hudson they rebuilt. They traveled with 261. They double-headed. Oh. The last time they were here.
They had a little blurb out, and I meant to bring it with the stuff that I brought, but somehow it escaped. But they had a nice picture of the engine, and they said it's going to have a victory lap tour once the paperwork is signed and the ink is dry.
Yeah, they have to go back again. Now that they're going through a second attempt at a merger, they have to go back for government approval on it. But I think the government will approve. I mean, they turned down the CN concept.
Well, CN was... They found out that, the information was different from what they gave to the government.
You mean the CN lied?
No. I mean, other papers were substituted in there. They were being blamed for something that they had nothing to do with.
Well, who put the papers in?
I don't know. Whoever the shyster was, I don't know.
The shyster. Yeah, right. Their law firm on retainer, huh?
As long as we're talking CP, Trains.com had an article. CP shares image of new hydrogen-powered locomotive.
There we go.
It's a unique-looking paint job. Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Canadian Pacific has shared an image of its forthcoming hydrogen-powered locomotive. It shows an EMD cowl-styled locomotive in green, blue, white, and gray paint scheme. According to the railroad's sustainability website, the locomotive, known as an H2 space OEL for hydrogen zero emissions locomotive, will be prepped for its official painting and launch. Each design element of the locomotive articulates the effect of this project. The blue and green paint colors represent sustainability, water, and technology. The H2 OEL wordmark features angled typography to symbolize movement and progress in action. I'll pass this around so everybody
I'm sure
get a look at it.
They hired a consulting firm to come up with all that.
They probably hired a consulting firm to create the verbiage.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But it's an exceptional paint job.
Now, is it a yard engine or a road engine?
It's, to my way of thinking, it's much too large to be a yard engine.
No, you'd be surprised what they use in the yards these days. And it's like, oh yeah, you're right. It does look like a road unit. Okay. Wow.
Uncle Brian showed a picture of the big boy, and Kalmbach Hobby Store is offering big boy T-shirts. And a message came out on October 11th, and it's a black T-shirt with the white big boy across the chest in the same manner as it's written on the front of the boiler nose. What's the correct term for that?
The
smoke box?
Yeah.
Okay. And they also offer a coffee cup in a flat black with the same chalk marking pattern.
Now, let me ask you, are you willing to set yourself up for ridicule walking around with a T-shirt that says Big Boy on it?
I'm Irish. Everybody knows it'd be a lie.
I'm sorry. Every time, as much as I love the Big Boy,
yeah.
Every time I think of Big Boy, I want
Shoney.
Yeah, you want to get
Shoney's.
Big Burger.
I want to go to Bob's.
Was it Bob's? I thought it was Shoney's.
So, well, that's down south. Oh, Cincinnati, it's Frisch's. Frisch's big boy.
Shoney's doesn't have a franchise anymore for it.
Okay.
Oh, they
That
don't?
was a franchise, but not no more. And they just opened up one just north of Milwaukee.
Thank you, our burger expert.
October 1st at 10 a.m. Eastern, Steam Rail Institute started selling tickets for their North Pole Express aboard the Père Marquette 1225. So if you are willing to go to Owasso, Michigan, to ride the train, go to Steam Rail Institute on their website, and you're going to have to be COVID-19 compliant and wear a face covering. But my wife and I made that trip 3 years ago. Unfortunately, the 1225 was down with a mechanical problem, so they put a couple of GP38s up on the nose for power. But it's a great trip. They have a young man who does his impersonation of the hobo. He's standing up on top of a boxcar waving to everybody before the trip. And on the return trip, he actually walks down the aisle of the cars talking to the kids and playing his harmonica.
Begs for money.
No, he didn't beg for money. He did not follow the true hobo genre.
Right.
But, the tickets were a little expensive, but we hadn't treated ourselves to an actual train ride in a while. I don't know if Casa of Will County is going to do their Christmas train this year or not. You'd have to contact Casa, C-A-S-A, of Will County to find out. Court-appointed special advocates. Works through the juvenile court of Will County. But they usually run one starting in Tinley Park and...
So Metro.
Yeah, it's a Metro contract.
Yeah, I know UP they had something like a Santa Claus Express or something. Ran through the northwest suburbs, I believe. I don't know if they're doing one this year or not.
Okay, and I have a flyer in front of me for the Fall Railroad Swap Meet and Old, in parentheses, South Shore Movie Program. It will be October 24th, 2021, at American Legion Post 66, 132 North Wiggs Street, Griffith, Indiana. Swap meet starts at 10 a.m. Chicago time. Movie program starts at 2 p.m. For information, call or email. There's a Mr. Bob Maloney.
Bill
Maloney, 815-834-0835, and he has a email of bbmolony@juno.com, and it's sponsored by the Blackhawk Railway Historical Society. They're a chapter of the National Railway Historical Society. It's free admission. They're suggesting a $2 donation. They said all the tables for the vendors have already been sold out, and that it's not just another toy show.
Yes, I will be there selling Chicago Railroad History Month posters, and it is a good model railroad show. Bill is pretty good about weaning out the junk dealers, people just coming in and selling garbage, and a lot of people that go there are really happy with what they find in the bargains they get. So if you're a model railroader and you're looking to buy any gauge, come on out to Griffith.
It'll be good.
Couple other things, if I can bend your ear for another moment. In the November 2021 issue of Classic Toy Train, bottom of page 15, atlasrailroad.com. They have a Wilson's Gas and Go service station. This is an old late 40s, 50, early 60s gas station with a two-bay service garage and an office, but the office portion has the clipped corner. So instead of a two-panel front window, it's a three-panel front window with the middle panel on a 45-degree angle. And it's got a sign in the blank. It's got a billboard like the gas prices would be posted on. The lowest one I can ever remember was $23.9 at Standard Oil when I was a very young teenager. And it comes with two sets of pumps. It comes with 3 pedestal-style pumps or 3 of the old tall kind Art Deco pumps. So you can set it up for a 40s, 50 gas station or a 60s, 70 gas station. It's $72.50 pre-built. I'm sorry, the kit is $72.50. It can also be purchased completely made. Shop.atlasrr.com. And item last, we talked last month or the month before about Menards releasing 146 F3 type passenger engines. There is a 2-page article in Classic Toy Train on their product reviews about the Menards F3. It received an extremely good write-up. It doesn't say whether or not they're going to go into production. My guess is this was the tease, and it's going to be in the stores for Christmas. It'll probably be, the original price was $146.06, and it was limited to 200 units. And they asked whoever bought it to send a review back in. It comes with a small handheld that looks an awful lot like the Lionel Lion Chief, except it's round instead of squared out. Low speed is 16.6 scale miles per hour. High speed is 46.4 miles per hour. The drawbar is 1 pound 7 ounces. The body looks really good. The paintwork is crisp. If you gave it a quick glance, you might mistake it for, the 2023 or 2033 Lionel war bonnets. I haven't had a chance to run one. I am looking forward to doing it.
Now, did they say who the manufacturer was?
No, they didn't. At first look, it looks a whole lot like a K-line engine.
Upside down from my angle, it looked like something Marx would have made. It's
a
good,
lot nicer.
but a little not not little as exotic as like Lionel would make. But that's looking at it upside down here.
Well,
here, you can look at it right side up.
Oh, thank you.
And they're probably sitting in a ship somewhere off the coast of California.
Yeah, that way it does look a little better. But at first glance, from the angle here, it looked a little bit.
If anybody believes that adding a 4-hour shift to the unloading at the ports of entry is going to resolve the logistics problem,
We're waiting for the robot trains to come to our rescue.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have, sir.
Well, we're out of time.
No, we're not. We can go on. You in a hurry to go somewhere?
No.
Ron? You here for the duration?
Yeah. He bypassed me completely. See
Yeah,
this?
I see that.
No traction report. Last
Yeah,
time
oh,
he
yeah.
asked me, and now
We need
he's
the traction report.
he's got a hot date with a chocolate shake at Culver's. That's what he's in a hurry to go get. You know.
Mr. Streetcar, what can you tell us?
What can I tell you? I don't know. I wrote a few things down.
Oh, good.
So I do have Train Fest. That's in November at the State Fair Park in Milwaukee.
Ooh.
A 2-day event has been canceled again. So it won't be till November 2022. So they killed off that one. DuPage County Fairgrounds has been operating the Midwest train show
That's coming up this weekend.
this Sunday. Yes.
I'll be there selling posters.
I'll
be there with a table in my corner.
good.
Oh, okay.
Save me a chair. That'll be my little resting place
Yeah,
when I see
right.
you guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got it.
And there's another model train show. I don't know if it's a show or just a display at Lamb's Farm out by Libertyville.
Yeah.
Also this Sunday. I saw the marquee they're advertising, and I looked on their website. They're having like a model train layout set up over there at Lamb's Farm. So if anybody's interested in that.
And I'm guessing it's not a sales event. It's probably just display.
They said they are sales, but they weren't specific on what, if it was like T-shirts or if they're going to have tables set up.
Right.
So, and we just missed the one show. There's a train show in Racine once a month, but I don't have the November date. It's probably like usually the second Sunday in Racine. They have a train show similar to Midwest and everything. Yours in Indiana, and they have a pretty good size, amount of tables and people selling, and I always see people loading up their trucks every time I go there because a friend of mine runs a table there. So, and there's 2 more dinner trains at East Troy this year, this Saturday and next Saturday, but they're both sold out. If anybody wants to go for a dinner train ride, I recommend East Troy Railroad.
Very good. They have some good meals.
And each train is unique and you can go on the website and you can see the menu for each train. And for every Sunday in July, there's a different menu for every train, and for every train for the whole schedule. So you can pick and choose. Like if you don't like one thing, you look at 2 other trains, you'll see something else you'll like. So, but both of them are sold out for this year, so that'll be next year. And like you say, it's very good. I know. Last year and this year, the only 2 years I've missed going since probably 2000. I've always liked going there. But then you've got let's see, 2 things. Oh, I looked at that train, the gauge for the streetcars. Toronto is a 4-foot by 11-inch width, and standard here is 4 feet 8.5. So that's the difference. So hopefully they put some trucks on that trolley before it, because it's in good shape. I've sat in it, looked at it.
Yeah.
I rode back and forth, the one car length and everything, and it's nice, but it's not going to survive over there. And December 4th is a good day if you want to go to East Troy, Wisconsin. That's when they have their annual
Santa train
parade. Yes.
Yeah.
And they operate all the way from what is that? Elegant Farmer. Well,
Yeah,
now they start farther. They start in Muckwonago now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they set up down there on the east end. So the train starts all the way from Muckwonago, then it comes into Elegant Farmer, and it sits there for about a half hour so everybody get their pictures and take their time. And then it does its usual 10 or 15 miles an hour from Muckwonago all the way into East Troy itself, making a few photo stops along the way. So it's real nice, especially at night, because that train's really lit up nice.
Oh, it is. It's like the CTA train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a nice rolling light show.
Yeah.
And then when they bring the train in, Santa gets off of it and all, and they all go up to City Park. And that's where everybody gets to decorate the tree.
Yeah.
And then Santa goes up there and gets everybody and light up, and everybody's having fun. And great hot chocolate.
Oh, yeah. I'll show you a little video of it in a minute down here. But they have Santa, when Santa gets into East Troy, they have a big parade with him on a fire truck to the downtown section. And last year when I was out there with all this COVID and everything, well, Illinois was shut down, Wisconsin was still wide open.
Yeah, right.
And downtown, there
Was packed.
1,000 people, if not more. Yes.
I was amongst them.
You were there. I was okay. We were
Yeah.
both there. Yeah. It was nice. It was a nice night too. It wasn't real cold or nothing.
No, it was beautiful.
Yeah. And all three railroad museums, well, the main ones. The let's see, East Troy calls theirs the Polar Express. East Troy is just the Christmas train. That's what it is. Polar Express is the Elgin Trolley Museum, South Elgin Trolley Museum. And the Happy Holiday Railroad is at Illinois Railroad Museum. And all three of them are operating every weekend from the last weekend in November to December. What is the last date? December is like 18th or something like that. Like the third, I think the third weekend is the final weekend for all three trains. So
that
if you want to take
would be the 18th, because December 4th and 11th are the two December Christmas open houses at the Chicagoland Railroad Club.
And East Troy is advertising, free hot chocolate for the kids on the trains, and they have adult hot chocolate for the mommies and the daddies. And they are serving beer and wine on all the trains for the adults too.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Heston Steam Museum
They do.
on the 23rd, well, the last 2 weekends. They're running the Erie Express in October, and the first 2 weekends they'll be running the Candy Cane Express, and where they'll run the train around and usually steam, and they also have Santa there. He's in the magic caboose. He's in the magic caboose.
Yeah, I've been in a few of those.
Yeah, in fact, he arrives in a Model A. Or no, Model T.
And Little America, which is out near Madison, Wisconsin, has, I think, we got 2 or 3 more weekends left for their Halloween trains that they run out there. They're pumpkin trains.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah, for some reason I ended up getting an email from him talking about the pumpkin trains.
Cool. And they also run the Little Dipper roller coaster that weekend, if the weather's permitting. And the history of the Little Dipper is right down the block here from our illustrious studio over here is the Harlem and Irving Shopping Center. And on the north end at one time, there used to be an amusement park for kids called Kitty Town. The Little Dipper was the original roller coaster at Kitty Town.
Ah.
When they closed in the 60s, it was dismantled. It was sent out to Lamont, Illinois. There was a big picnic grove out there with a couple of rides. It was one of those corporate places that they rent. When they closed in the 90s, it got dismantled again, and it's been in Wisconsin ever since. So that's my next. I've got to write it one more time. Relive my childhood.
That's up near Madison, right?
Yes.
You have to go down to the Museum of Contemporary Broadcasting and get your DVD of Hard Rock and Coco and Joe and Susie Snowflake, and then go ride the Little Dipper.
I've already got it.
I have to get that to show on the drive-in theater at the train club.
I had to crack up. I saw a video of Kitty A Go-Go. That was a TV show that was on local TV, and they had one of the big local bands was playing, and it was a riot. I mean, these guys are lip syncing, and all these little kids are dancing. And
They were called the Mull Queens.
the Mull Queens were the couple that ran it. And what was her?
Pandora.
Pandora, right.
And she'd get out there and dance with the kids.
Yeah.
She had the moves.
I have to admit, I like that picture you sent out on the tuba.
Oh, my friend's tuba, yes. Yes.
May it rest in pieces.
They're going to fix it. It's fixable.
It is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was fixable.
Did somebody back over the tuba?
A friend of mine was playing with an Oktoberfest band out in Lake Geneva, and the other band that was on the stage wasn't watching where they were going, and one of the gentlemen tripped and fell on top of the tuba. And the big bell, which is about yay wide, which you can't see, which is about 2 feet diameter,
Folded.
it looks like a banana.
Think of Oliver Hardy
Yeah.
taking a seat.
Yeah. That's really.
It's straight out of a Laurel and Hardy movie.
Yeah, it's not going to be a cheap. It can be fixed, but it's not going to be a cheap fix. But the guys can fix it.
That's all brass.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if I should fix my Metro safety watch. I washed and dried it the other day. I couldn't figure out what was making all that noise in the dryer. Right, I pulled the dry clothes on here. Laying in the bottom is my Metro safety watch. May it rest in peace.
Well, at least it's in one piece.
Yeah, it
Or
is.
pieces.
Well,
No, he said one.
it's one piece.
And
I'm trying to figure out if it's worth taking to the jeweler to see if he can do anything about it.
You know, the state's attorney's going to want to talk to you. You're going to be charged with watch-aside.
Right. What you got, Uncle Brian? You got stuff?
I always have stuff. Whether we get to it, that's another story.
Well, you know.
Well, let's see. Well, you were talking about that nice high-powered hydrogen locomotive.
Yeah, right. NS has them too, don't they?
Well, NS has been
Yeah.
working with Progress, and they got a Tier 4 locomotive that has a 90% reduction in the nitrogen oxide emissions.
Is that the Jeep 37?
No, Jeep 34.
Jeep 34?
Eco. Built for yard and intermediate operations. It's undergoing testing to meet the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Tier 4 emission certification requirements, the highest emission standard for locomotives. Compared to older locomotives, the GP34 Eco achieves a 90% reduction rate in nitrogen oxide emissions, offers significantly higher fuel efficiency, NS and Progress Rail officials have said in news releases. It's powered by a 3,000 horsepower 710 engine and utilizes the first diesel exhaust fluid and selective catalytic reduction after treatment system intended for line haul locomotive applications, they said. The locomotive also features a new crash-worthy cab and cab electronics. NS assembled the locomotive core in Altoona at the Juniata shops together with Progressive Rail, Caterpillar engineering teams. NS worked for final assembly of the engine and after treatment system work. Class 1 plans to use the unit in the intermediate service in the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania later this year. Work with Progressive Rail to ensure field testing meets final emission certification requirements. We have Metra meeting to discuss UP North Bridge project, the North Line.
The North Line used to be triple track. Now it's double track. And I think with the bridge project, they're going to have to relay rail on the old right-of-way that they ripped up, because they're going to have some way to get these trains around, be able to run,
You think?
you think?
All the overpasses are still there.
Yeah.
Over
Yes,
most
they
of the
are.
street.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All the bridges still there,
Yeah,
sure.
bridges, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, because they're actually re-raising the bridges and everything, because the truckers are complaining that they're losing too many trailers going underneath them.
Oh, don't go under it.
That's what I say,
The problem is, as they build more and newer trailers, that
They're going to keep putting 6 inches higher.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah,
most
they-
of them are containers anyways. They just, you don't see a lot of...
they're meeting the federal standards, but the heights on the viaducts
Are 1800 standards.
are 1900 standards. Yeah. Well, look at that viaduct right there by White Sox Park.
Yeah,
It's 11'8".
yeah.
Why not a chicken?
Okay.
It's over a foot. I think it's a foot and 10 inches below federal max height. And there are becoming more and more areas of the city that, even with the city's help, truckers can't find a route to make their delivery.
Right. And they have more, yards in the city now for picking up containers.
And what the city is usually doing is they're dropping the roadbed 2 feet,
Right.
which is a really marginal stopgap, because if they drop the roadbed 2 feet, they're making the viaduct 13 foot 8 inches, and the next time the Surface Transportation Board, or whatever the appropriate agency is, says you can add another 6 inches to your cargo box, they're not going to be able to get through.
Well, not only that, but dropping the surface, you raise the possibility of flooding and heavy rains. Most of these viaducts flood all the time.
Already. They are.
Yeah, they don't have pumping stations or anything.
No, that one on State Street at 89th or 90th, or between 89th and 90th, you get a half an inch of rain and you're liable to hook a tarpon in there. It gets so much water.
They're going out and they're stocking those things.
Modern technology, 290. Usually between like 25th Avenue and about Mannheim Road. That always floods over there. And that's a lot of it's brand new right there, too.
Yeah.
When CSX rebuilt the overpass on 111th Street at about 5300 West, they built a pumping station. Brian, how you were talking about the blue signs on the grade crossings? The grade crossing at 108th Street and Central Avenue just got redone a couple of months ago. There's now a big 2 foot by 2 foot white reflectorized sign on the lamppost before you get to the gate signals. It says, "This grade crossing maintained by CSX. Please report potholes to," and it's got an 800 number. It's I've never seen one of those before.
No, I think, what are the
I'm
numbers?
gonna have to go there and take a picture of it, because I haven't seen it.
Report potholes.
Well, I guess I think Central Avenue is a county road. Maybe the county told CSX either build an above ground crossing for this roadway or do a better job of maintaining it, because it was closed for 12 days, and they rebuilt it, and it's pretty. I mean, you could put a glass of water on your dashboard and drive across it now, and not spill anything.
Well, when they rebuilt the crossing on 115th on the B&O CT, they raised the grade. So actually you have to slow down to go over it because otherwise you'll bottom out on it. And I noticed the other day when I was driving west, there was beginning of a large pothole in the center of the crossing. Now this crossing's only been completed like within the last 4 or 5 months. It's already starting to go.
I mean, what are they using for paving?
Well, I don't think they use those rubber crossing mats anymore. They just throw down ties and put asphalt over them.
But the asphalt they're using is...
Well, they got it from a contractor that works for the city.
Oh, I see, said the blind man.
Yeah, I don't know. I know when Metro redoes a crossing, it's a big deal, and they do it right.
Yeah, I mean they'll keep it closed for a week and
right,
and then 2 weeks later, whoever needs to comes back to put new support piping underneath it so they can run to water or electric or fiber cable. Instead of doing it at the same time, they got it ripped up for the grade crossing. They just resurfaced the street, the closest major street to my house, and the wife and I were out walking 2 nights ago, and here's the white spray paint, 80-foot by 10-foot CTA pad. So they just resurfaced the street, inconvenienced the hell out of everybody for 10 days, and now they're going to tear it up and dig it down. And
they've already been doing that in Park Ridge. So,
well, how do you people expect the politicians to make money? That's how they make their money. They paved the road one day, and the next day they got it all ripped back up again.
Hey, this is outside of railroading, but I see that the American Science Surplus, is it? They're the ones that send out those silly catalogs and everything. They're picking up stakes. They're going to Park Ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said they can't afford to work in Chicago anymore. Rent and taxes, killing them.
At one time they had their own building, but then they moved into a strip mall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the freestanding building.
Yeah.
It was right on the corner by Northwest Highway.
Yeah.
Good place to get lost for 2 hours.
Buy stuff you don't need.
Yep.
Only 2 hours?
Only
Boy,
2 hours.
You're fast. I walked in one time. I walked out. It was dark out as well.
Well, I believe it's time for us to say goodnight.
The bumping post is approaching rapidly. Set some air, Brian.
As our express comes into the terminal, we want to thank you for joining us on our journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and can be listened to on the web at www.windycityhometown.com, where you can listen to tonight's broadcast and all of our past episodes. You can also sample some of the other fine programs that are being offered. Till next month, when we say Journey to Chicago Junction, this is your announcer Brian Blue saying happy rails to you. And good night, Mr. Ryan and Ron Stock, wherever you are.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, October the 13th, the year 2021. Chicago Junction was produced and directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Chikanda. This broadcast was produced and directed on Wednesday, October the 13th, the year 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, It is sad to announce that Ron Stock had passed away. I've known Ron for quite a few years, not only here at the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, but Ron was also a member of the Norridge Senior Citizens Club over on Irving Park Road. It was a great pleasure being friends with you, Ron. And now I will say, God bless you and rest in peace.